Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. We spend so much time caught up in the day-to-day grind that we rarely zoom out. But today, we're doing exactly that. We're diving into this whole idea of stewardship, and specifically the unseen future. Think about it. Every single generation inherits a world that absolutely did not create. The roads we drive on, the air we breathe, the rivers that sustain us, they were all shaped by decisions made long before we even got here. It's kind of wild, right? We're basically living in a house built by someone else. And that brings us to this big, sweeping question. Just let this hang in the air for a second. What kind of world are we actually leaving behind? We spend so much energy worrying about the world we were handed, but what about the world we're actively shaping right now?
Okay, let's get into section 1, the world we inherited, a borrowed planet. Because somewhere along the way, we really started treating this Earth not like a generational relay race, but like a finish line.
Our modern disposable mindset is honestly built on this crazy illusion. We're endlessly consuming resources, acting like there's an infinite supply. We keep buying products that are literally designed to break, so we have to replace them. We toss out items we could easily repair with just a little effort. And why? Well, we treat convenience as an absolute necessity and abundance as a total entitlement. We kind of forgot that all the things making our lives so easy right now were preserved by the careful stewardship of people who came way before us. Moving on to section 2, the power of ordinary choices. A microshift. Look, when we face these massive environmental challenges, it is so easy to feel completely overwhelmed and powerless. We tend to think fixing things is a job for massive governments or giant corporations. But history shows us over and over that real, sweeping cultural change rarely starts from the top down. It begins right here at home. It starts with ordinary people making seemingly insignificant choices. It's exactly like how millions of tiny drops of water eventually carve out a massive canyon. So what does that look like in real life? Well, it looks like grabbing a reusable bottle on your way out the door instead of reaching for another disposable plastic one. It looks like taking, say, 10 minutes to stitch up a tiny tear in a shirt, rather than instantly jumping online to buy a replacement. There's actually a really quiet, profound power in mending things. It's choosing to take a quick walk to the local store instead of just hopping in the car for a 2-minute drive. It's a tiny shift, sure, but it physically connects us back to our environment. And maybe most importantly, it's hitting pause on a purchase just long enough to ask yourself, hey, do I actually need this? Now, are any of these single actions going to save the planet overnight? No, of course not. We know that. But they represent this absolutely vital shift in mindset. They signal a very real change in our everyday culture. So, the crucial point here is this simple, powerful truth. The future is built from habits. The environmental issues we're dealing with today didn't just magically appear out of thin air. They emerged from countless small decisions repeated over decades. And the solutions? They're not going to come from one magical invention. They're going to emerge from millions of people just choosing differently, day after day. Which brings us to section 3, progress over perfection, redefining sustainability. Let's tackle what is probably the biggest misconception about environmentalism out there. And that's the deeply intimidating idea that you have to live this flawless, zero-waste lifestyle. We absolutely have to dismantle this anxiety of perfectionism. Perfection is this myth that you have to give up literally every modern convenience to be a good steward of the earth. But reality is about progress. It's simply about choosing better today and doing it again tomorrow. Choosing a slightly better option today is vastly more powerful than throwing your hands up and doing nothing because you're waiting until you can be perfect. Because honestly, sustainability isn't just about protecting nature like it's some abstract painting on a wall. It is entirely about protecting future possibility. Look at these 3 things. Clean rivers mean future generations actually have fresh water. Healthy soil means they can grow food. Stable ecosystems mean they inherit a planet that can actually support life. We're literally protecting the possibility of a thriving future. And this brilliantly illustrates a total paradigm shift. Sustainability shouldn't be about guilt. It becomes this really empowering act of stewardship. It's not just reducing harm today, it's actively preserving opportunity for tomorrow. It's this incredibly optimistic realization that our real job isn't to leave the world totally untouched. I mean, that's impossible anyway, but to simply leave it better than we found it. All right, section 4, the legacy we leave, our unseen future. Let's zoom back out to that macro perspective for a second. I want you to really reflect on those unseen generations, the people who are going to inherit the story being written by our daily choices.
Because every single thing we do, the clothes we buy, the stuff we use, the waste we create, the habits we normalize in our own homes, each one of those is a sentence in a much larger story. So the ultimate question of this explainer is, what kind of story is it going to be? Are we writing a story of depletion, of just constantly taking way more than we need? Or is it a story of restoration, of giving back to what we inherited?
Think about this. A century from now, the people walking this earth will almost certainly never know our names. They're never going to see the individual choices you or I made in the grocery store or the repair shop, but they will absolutely, undeniably live with the consequences of those choices. And that makes every single small decision matter so much more than we usually think. Let's move to this and see how it builds. It's a chain reaction. Step 1, small decisions repeated daily. Step 2, that creates a collective cultural shift. And step 3, the world of tomorrow is built today. The future isn't being constructed in some secret laboratory or a faraway government building. It is being built right now, in our kitchens, in our closets, and in those seemingly mundane choices we make every single day. I want to leave you with this final thought. The world we leave behind begins with the life we choose to live today. Remember, you are a steward of tomorrow's possibilities. So here's the question. Will you just be a tenant on this earth, or will you be an architect of its future? Thanks for joining me for this explainer today. I really appreciate it. Until next time, choose carefully.